that is because I wanted to join with a charity that's really close to my heart called Fair Share. And so for every book sold, I've donated £1 to this charity, which is 4 meals of surplus food going to a family in need. So again, like you said, like during this whole lockdown thing, they've done incredible work because, you know, there's so many families that could not get food, and they really upped their game during the whole situation. So I'm just really happy to be able to kind of have that connection and to be able to sort of offer something to families that can't necessarily afford it as well.
Oh, I love that. That's really great, Natasha. I've been very lucky to have tried your cooking, and it's such a privilege. Have you always been a healthy eater? And I'm going to ask you a very honest question. Did you slip into any bad habits during lockdown? Because I feel like we all did.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is since I've had Rudy, I'm quite sort of consistent now with what I do. I don't kind of, I'm healthy, but I will definitely sit and eat a bar of chocolate in front of the TV as well, you know, and, you know, we did a lot of baking during lockdown because, you know, trying to keep Rudy occupied. He loves cooking and he loves chocolate and he loves all those things. So we did a lot of baking with lots of hidden vegetables in, which, you know, there's lots of those recipes in the book as well. So yes, we did do maybe slightly more baking than normal during lockdown.
Some banana bread.
But, you know, yeah, lots of bread. We have an amazing baker down the road and he makes the most incredible sourdough. So a lot of that was consumed as well because he then started delivering. But yeah, no, yeah, we did eat a lot.
Right, so tell me, from this book, Family Kitchen, just to give us a taste, and this is going to make me really hungry, what's your favourite dish that's in there?
Oh, it's so hard to say. It's going to make me salivate
now.
I think sort of one of our family favourites for breakfast at home is either the green waffles or the brunch tray. So there's a lot of like one dish recipe, so you don't have to wash up. So the brunch tray's got everything in it and you just chuck it in the oven. And the
we
green
love
waffles,
that.
I like normal waffles, but they've got a handful of, you know, a couple of handfuls of spinach in them. So also kind of gets the fussy eaters eating something that
And when you say waffles, when you say you're cooking waffles, especially for kids, like who's going to say no to waffles and just kind of hide the vegetables in there?
Exactly, and chucks a Marmite on the top, and they're never going to say no. Do you know what I mean? And then I think probably one of my showstopper dishes that I just bring out over and over and over again for dinner parties is the one pot leg of lamb. It's spiced leg of lamb with couscous. It's incredible, which is a really good dish. We all love that at home. And then, probably a couple of curries and a fish pie. Polenta fish pie with sweet potato topping.
I want it all.
Yeah,
I want it all. Natasha, thank you so much. I'm absolutely starving now. I need to start eating some of those biscuits. I wish I brought something else in the studio.
Come and see us in the Cotswolds.
I would love to. I need to. Thank you so much, and lots of love to the family.
All right, lots of love to you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
And Family Kitchen by Natasha Cort is out now. I'm still here with Stephen and Athena. I'm starving after that. As soon as I got one on BBC 5 Live last week, and we talked about food for half an hour.
Honestly, I might have to sneak out.
When I say about watching food, if I watch a food show, I have to sit there with cake.
Oh, when I watch Come Dine With Me, I have to have like a packet of crisps in my hand. Otherwise, I get too peckish.
Now, this is great. Anyone who remembers the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, I mean, I know you think about it all the time, Stephen.
Oh, literally all the time. And Kate and Will's, lest we forget.
Also very good. But particularly Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, because people will know who my next guest is if you do remember that wedding, which everyone saw. The Kingdom Choir, led by Britain's godmother of gospel, Karen Gibson, memorably performed Stand By Me during the ceremony. Remember that? Oh, it was incredible. And don't tell the former royals, but they really did steal the show. I'm really sorry. Your dress was lovely, Meghan, but it was all about the music. Since then, the choir have played all over the world, and Karen's been on your screens again this year, talk about more food as a contestant on Celebrity MasterChef. Is there nothing she can't do? Now they've announced a new original single in aid of Refuge, the women and children's charity against domestic violence. And this is what it sounds like. Turn up, everybody in the neighborhood. Turn up, in the palace, in the church, in the club. Turn up, for the rhythm of the beat of love. Turn up, step about to the king.
We're hoping actually to really make people feel better in this time of lockdown.
Now, before we talk music, because we have just been talking about food quite a lot here in studio, and you've been on Celebrity MasterChef this year. How did you find the whole experience?
It was actually very challenging, very challenging. Every time I've done anything on TV, it's always been about music or about my faith. But this is cooking, so completely out of my comfort zone. But it was absolutely brilliant. It was really great experience. Did
you surprise yourself, or have you always been a good cook?
Well, I can cook. I can cook. Maybe not always to those levels with the caviar and what have you.
I know. I'm not really cooking up much caviar during lockdown, have to say.
Yeah. So, but yes, I can cook. I've been cooking since I've been about 8, I think.
Okay. And have you? And since filming MasterChef, have you found yourself cooking even more?
No.
Or had to scarred you for life?
No, I'm not scarred. I really love the program.
Yeah.
But my niece lives with me and she is a brilliant cook and I'm very happy about that.
Mm-hmm. You eat it. It's the best. Yes. It's the best part.
It is.
Karen, just in case anyone listening doesn't know, how did the Kingdom Choir begin? Let's talk music.
Okay, so actually we came about kind of by accident. We were part of a larger church choir and we were asked to help out with a radio program, BBC Radio 2, Gospel Train. And so we were going to churches and we performed. After a while, we were performing as a standalone choir and then we got an invite from BBC Songs of Praise to sing on their 35th birthday. And that's when we became an entity.
Oh, what a great story. Let's talk about a gospel choir. What qualities do you need to conduct a gospel choir? Because it is a big task.
It is a big task. I would say that the best quality a conductor needs, gospel or otherwise, is the ability to really pull out the gold of people, to really champion them and let them know that they can do it. Because often people in choirs think that they can't. They think the amount of times people have told me, I can't sing. And I'm saying it's not true. If you can hear, you can sing. Even if you can't, you can sing. You can do it.
If you hear, you can sing. There you go. Stephen Bailey, just so you know, if you can hear, you can sing.
Yes, even Stephen. So I think that's up there in my qualities that you need to conduct.
I have to talk about the royal wedding because out of all the experiences you've had, and you've had a lot, surely the royal wedding and performing has to be up there. Can you talk me through, first of all, how do you get a booking like that?
It was out of the blue. And it's because a young lady who used to sing in the choir about 12 years ago was friends with a member of Prince Charles's staff. And people think that it's Meghan who wanted the the choir, but it's actually Prince Charles who loves gospel choirs.
Wow.
So that's how the connection came about. But it was absolutely out of the blue and a complete surprise when I got the call.
How was that actual day? Was there nerves or were you just kind of, was adrenaline? And what was it different to normal bookings?
Yeah, completely different. I mean, I wouldn't say there was nerves. I think we were just all so excited. I remember us singing all the way down in the coach from London to Windsor, and people were equally excited about being escorted by a police escort. That was one thing that we'll never forget. But the day itself was absolutely beautiful. The sun came out for us. I remember sitting in the church waiting for the service to start, and just the sense of anticipation and excitement was palpable. It's a beautiful day.
I want to talk about the song that I just played a clip of. This is your charity single in aid of Refuge. And Refuge, we've had some people on from the charity before. It's the domestic violence charity. Is this something very close to your heart? What made you pick this charity?
Well, I have to say there was a number of things that we've always had on our heart. You know, groups that we wanted to impact. Children was one, mental health was another, but also domestic violence was something that we, wanted to go after. So in this time of lockdown, we thought, it's a pretty horrible time for everybody. Who can we really impact? What do we have in our hands? What can we do? So we thought, why don't we release a single as a gift to the world? And then why don't we give the proceeds to a domestic violence charity? And we chose Refuge. That's how it came about.
The song is called Real Love. And it's an original. Tell me about this song.
We didn't write the song for this actual cause. We wrote this, I think it was early last year, and we have toured it. We've sung it all over the place, and every time we've sung it, it's gone down an absolute storm. And so we thought, well, this really lifts people's spirits. This is a song that we should release because it's a real banger, it's a real cracker, and people love it. So we thought that, this is a song that we should release to the world.
So had you recorded it prior to lockdown?
Well, we hadn't. we had recorded the vocals.
Yeah.
Prior to lockdown, but not the video. So if you go on YouTube, you'll see we've got a video to go with it. But so that was tricky. It was a virtual video, which means we had to do it on our own, in our own homes, set up our own little studios. We had to send out numerous instructions. Step this way when you hear this word, wave your hands at this point, and then we send all the videos away. Somebody puts it all together. We've got an amazing audio engineer who makes us sound brilliant. And so that was that. That's how we did that.
And what about rehearsing and stuff? Have you been able to do anything back with the choir during lockdown? Like, I guess you can't really do Zoom rehearsals because it'll be out of sync. But how's that been going?
It's been very tricky. We haven't been able to rehearse. Some people manage it, but it's not the same. You have to mute yourself, so basically you're only hearing your own voice. But what we have been doing is making sure we meet up every Wednesday just to check in, say hello, see each other's voices. We pray together, laugh together, sometimes cry together. But that's the extent of what we've been doing. So the singing has been quite tricky.
Karen, we can't wait until you guys can get back out there. I'm sure you're looking forward to when you can get back out on the road.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Karen. And you can buy Real Love by the Kingdom Choir now. Time now for some more music. We love a bit of music. And our soundtrack to this Sunday morning is provided by London 4-piece Sea Girls, who've recorded a couple of tracks exclusively just for us. I'm going to be chatting to them just before midday. But for now, sit back and enjoy the opening song off their new album. This one's called Transplant.
We all are.
top of that, a lot of my TV stuff, my presenting stuff is travel documentaries, and we've got all these travel restrictions. So it's been difficult. I was in the middle of making a climate change series for the BBC when the travel restrictions happened. I also, had symptoms, and I thought I had to isolate for 2 weeks. So yeah, it's been pretty bonkers actually for the last couple of months.
We're saying, actually, speaking to someone recently about this, the beginning of lockdown wasn't too bad in that we all kind of felt that we were in it together. And now I think it's got to that stage where we're like, okay, is this done now? And it's going to be something that will change going forward, will change our lives, all of our lives, for a long time coming. I want to talk about the Paralympics because they should have been happening later this month. And I guess you first came into the public eye as a Paralympian. Have you spoken to any of the athletes who are missing out on participating this year?
Yeah, I have. I've spoken to quite a few of my friends in the wheelchair basketball team. And it's difficult. It's a really, really difficult time because they would have been preparing to get their bodies so that they peak at the right time, and peak for the Paralympics. And to suddenly have that taken away, it would be really, really difficult for them. And I think even more so than that. Yes, yeah, I get you there, Laura.
Ade, I want to take you back to your experiences in the Games. What is it like to be part of it?
What really makes the Games special was the journey that I had to become a Paralympian. My dreams began when I was 11, and I watched the Los Angeles Olympics. Sorry, this was back in 1984, Laura, probably way before your time.
Not that far before. Not that far before.
It's all right. You can show off. I'm an old fogey. I'll admit it. But we just about had TVs then, and my parents had bought this black and white TV. This TV was like the first TV we'd had in our house. It was black and white TV. The screen, the picture used to move up and down. You had to bang the top of it to stop the picture from moving.
I thought that only happened in the movies.
Yeah, my life is a movie, Laura. But I remember watching the 84 Olympics, and this was my first experience of elite sport at a top level. And I was completely blown away and just mesmerized by the incredible spectacle of it. I remember seeing the fireworks in the opening ceremony, the mass crowds, and then suddenly just being totally encapsulated by greats like Daley Thompson and Seb Coe, people who I can today call friends, and watching them compete. And I so wanted to be part of that what I used to do is, as soon as like the races would start, like the 100 meters would start, I'd have my eyes shut and I'd be on the sofa and I'd start pumping my arms, imagining that I was there. And so my dream began as an 11-year-old kid, and I found my way into playing wheelchair basketball. I was spotted as I was being raced through the streets in a Tesco shopping trolley by some physiotherapist who told me to swap that shopping trolley for a wheelchair. I saw elite wheelchair basketball for the first time. And at that point, this was sort of when I was about 13, 14, I was like, this is what I want to do. But the journey wasn't straightforward. It took the best part of 15 years. I was told 7 times that I wasn't good enough. I was cut from the national team 7 times. I almost gave up. And then finally, in April 2000, came the point where, after 15 years of being told that I wasn't good enough, a letter came through the post and it said, Ade Devitane, congratulations, you've been selected for the Great Britain wheelchair basketball team for the Sydney Paralympics. And when you add that journey, all that disappointment, all of the obstacles that I had to overcome, it just made the Games extra special. So Sydney 2000 was my first Games. Opening ceremony, 100,000 people in the stadium, absolutely bonkers. I never told my parents that I was going to the Paralympics because we had a little dispute about me playing sport. They wanted me to become a lawyer or a doctor or and go to university. And I told them I wanted to be a wheelchair basketball player. And the first time they knew of me, the first time they saw me playing disability sport was when my mum, she'd given me a phone, saw me in the opening ceremony of the Sydney 2000 Paralympics on TV, and she called me, and I picked up my phone and she goes, "Ha! You're in Australia. What are you doing there? and it was just like, yeah, Mum, I'm competing in the Paralympics. So for me, it was special in so many ways because of, that journey, but also knowing that I'd finally made it to the pinnacle of sport, to become part of this elite group of athletes competing against the best.
The one thing I've realised, that the common ground for a lot of successful people is everyone's been told no a lot, a lot. How do you keep that positivity? How do you keep that determination where you're constantly being knocked back? Even as a child, you talk about that experience of watching the Olympic Games. But when you watch it as a child, knowing I'm not going to run like everyone else is, like on television, and saying to people, you can't do this. And then when you find something that you can do, they still say you can't do that. Where do you get that determination to constantly push against what everyone else is saying?
It's a really good question. I think, fortunately for me, my natural state of mind is positivity. I've always had that. And I think I've inherited that from my parents. The fact that they were prepared once they realized that I contracted polio to up sticks, leave their friends and family, use all their savings to move to a completely different country. You have to have a certain amount of optimism to be able to do that. And they always taught me to fight my corner, and to go for my dreams. I get that nature and that attitude from my parents. And also going to a mainstream school, I was the first child with a disability in East London, in Newham, in the London Borough of Newham, to go to an able-bodied school with able-bodied kids. And my parents had made that decision. They'd fought tooth and nail with the local education authority to make sure that I went to an able-bodied school, because they felt it was going to be the best preparation for me in later life. When you go to a mainstream school and you are one of the only black kids in that school, you are the only child with a disability, you are the only African, and I had a strong Nigerian accent at that time, I immediately stood out, and I immediately had to constantly challenge people's perceptions. The moment they saw me, it didn't help that my mum dressed me up in a pink checkered suit, flared suit on my first day of school. But the moment people saw me, they already had a decision made about who I was. And they were already prepared to tell me what they thought I should be and who they thought I should be. So literally from the age of 7, I was constantly challenging people, and I was constantly taking on that idea of no. It became my second skin. And now, I never really take the word no for an answer. And I feel like I'm not living and I'm not doing myself justice if I'm not challenging myself. And I think that all came from my parents and my early days at school.
When you were that kid in school in that pink checkered suit, which I think sounds very on trend. I like the sound of your mother. Good fashion. Maybe not for a child trying to fit in with everyone else.
Not in the 80s.
Not in the 80s.
Yeah.
Maybe now. Did you feel different straight away? Did you? Because sometimes there's a naivety and innocence as a child that, like, you are you and that's all you know. Did you immediately feel from the other children, or for yourself, did you feel different?
That the last thing you want to do as a kid is stand out, because you think if you stand out, that leaves you open and vulnerable to be attacked by the other kids. So I tried everything, even to the fact that I was in denial for many years about my disability, in that I walked on calipers, which, say, if you've ever seen Forrest Gump and you've ever seen that sequence where he's being chased by the bullies and his girlfriend saying, "Run, Forrest, run," and he's got those iron rods in his legs. I used to have those sort of things, and I used to walk with a pronounced limp. I'd say I walked like C-3PO from Star Wars.
How old were you? How old were you then?
This was about 7 or 8. But what I would do is I would avoid walking past mirrors or windows so I didn't see my reflection. So in one sense, I did have the self-awareness to know that I was different, but I sort of kidded myself and sort of just tried to avoid having to tackle that issue. And, those things, they come back to haunt you, not necessarily haunt you, but you have to deal with them at some point in your life. But it was, I wouldn't say, if you'd said to me as a 7, 8-year-old kid, are you different? I would say, no, I was just the same as all of my mates. But deep down, I knew I was different.
I'm Laura Whitmore on BBC 5 Live. My Under the Spotlight guest is broadcaster and legendary Paralympian Ade Adepitan. Something I want to talk about is visibility of disabilities. I actually spoke this week to two brilliant women, Myra Ali and another girl called Sam Renka. They're broadcasters, one's an actress as well, and they were speaking about just the visibility of seeing someone with a disability on television and growing up, how they never really had that, and how I guess now things are changing a little bit now. Yourself as a broadcaster, you're there as a broadcaster, not as somebody in a wheelchair who happens to be a broadcaster. You're there as a broadcaster, that's your job. And they were speaking out about a lot of times they get booked for jobs, it's because they're the person with the disability as opposed to the person with the skill. And I'm wondering, have you come up against that? And what do you think about people with disabilities being visible on a wider platform, on a platform that's not just niche?
It's such an important issue. I mean, it crosses many different areas, representation, inequality, discrimination. If you can't see yourself in the public eye, if you don't see yourself on TV or in advertising campaigns,
हेलो 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 पाकिस्तान की टीम 236 रन पर आउट हो चुकी है। पाकिस्तान की टीम